Item F, termination.
A termination recommendation, and this is because a grievance that had been filed has been dropped, and I recommend that you approve termination of the contract of Brenda Ulrich. And the motion needs to be written in the minutes like that. It's a staff reduction, but it needs to say that you approve the termination of the contract for that teacher.
I move to approve the termination of the contract of Brenda Ulrich.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the termination of the contract of Brenda Ulrich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Schedule B, I recommend that you approve termination of Schedule B contract for Brenda Ulrich as assistant volleyball coach as well.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve termination of Schedule B contract for Brenda Ulrich as assistant volleyball coach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel resignations.
I recommend to accept the following resignations. Angela Meredith as prom sponsor and Melissa Daisy as assistant cheerleader.
Motion two. One.
It could be one motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to accept the following resignations of Angela Meredith as prom sponsor and Melissa Daisy as assistant cheerleader.
We forgot our graduation back on the business.
Oh, we did.
Well, let's finish this. It's been moved and
We are
seconded.
linear in our thinking.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I even wrote it down.
I even have it labeled, and I gotta make sure.
I don't have it naked.
Yeah, like my secretary.
I just want you to make sure that you notice the resignations in those last two positions were because those were positions we were going to reduce, and when I talked to them about termination, they said they'd rather turn in a resignation. At Wall Lake Auburn, resignations were accepted last night for Kevin Spore at high school football. I'm going to skip the two student councils and talk to you a minute about those. Julie Drost is prom sponsor, and both of those were positions that were going to be terminated, but the individuals decided they'd rather turn in resignations than be terminated. Both student council sponsors turned in resignations because we were cutting that to one position. I went and talked to both of them and asked them if there was one that was willing to take it and one willing to give it up, and their response to me was that neither one of us can do it alone because homecoming is during football season. Eric's head football coach, and Jen said I can't handle student council in the spring when I'm a track coach. And a few days later, I said, well, tell me who I can terminate. I had no basis because they both have good job evaluations related to the position. They both turned in resignations and said if it's just one of us, neither one of us want the position. So Wall Lake Auburn said last night, well, go back to them and ask them if they'd be willing to share a position. I didn't talk to them today. I talked to them, but I didn't talk to them about that. So Wall Lake Auburn did not accept the resignation for Eric and Jen last night. I want you to know that. They did ask me last night, is there anybody interested in the student council position? I don't know because we can't post it by master contract until there's a vacancy. So I'll talk with them, we'll look at it again in May. And then contracts were terminated for Greg Lucas as middle school assistant football coach, Tyson Veit as middle school wrestling coach, and Tina Lemke as assistant drill team coach last night.
Because those positions were being...
Because those were positions that you approved at the March meeting for Schedule B. Yep.
I'll still make the statement, the only way you can have a wrestling program is you started in the elementary low ends. And of course, I realize that's a tough situation, but I hate to see a program slip, and it's slipping, obviously.
Yep.
What did they, it's still left open to the middle school wrestling, if the numbers show promise that we can still hire somebody, I mean,
Yes.
that's still
Yes.
an option. Okay.
Yep. If you remember with
We had-
almost all of those coaching positions, we said if numbers warrant, we'll be back talking to you about coaches again. And I'm just going to jump ahead to contracts, which I was negligent in both districts to list because we have a recommendation for an assistant softball coach because we have so many softball girls out that our recommendation is going to be to hire a third softball coach, 53 or 52 girls. So we'd have 3 teams. We only have 2 coaches. And we do not have an assistant baseball coach currently, but we have one applicant that's been interviewed. The assistant baseball coach would be a Wallach Auburn contract, and the assistant softball coach will be a SAC position. I was trying to think if I said that right, but that's what that would look like. So in the May meeting, I'll make a recommendation for those coaching positions. The baseball position is not an additional position. The assistant baseball coach resigned last year, and we continually advertised and posted. And finally, about a month and a half ago, we got an applicant. So,
I would just echo what Dave said. It would be nice on the wrestling end if someone would really kind of take the ball from lower levels and try to get some interest. But
Tyson and I have visited a couple of times about this. One of the things he's going to work at is trying to just acquaint himself more with the middle school kids so they know him. And, it's a huge disadvantage if you're not in the school system. You just don't have the connections with the kids. And he's a very, very nice young man as a coach, very responsible and respectful and treats kids well. And the kids that are out for wrestling really respect him. But he works in Overbold at the car dealership and doesn't see kids till he shows up for practice. And that's hard to promote a program and get one going. So he knows this is not about him and that he's got a little work to do if he's going to try to promote something.